This is probably the stupidest controversy that I ever had to cover. Also, I just want to be clear cut on this. I'm gonna be as transparent as possible here. I'm the supporter of the LGBTQ community. This is a safe space for the LGBT. So if this isn't your cup of tea, then maybe this channel isn't for you. Now, for the ladies and gentle thems out there, if you want to take a clip of this video of me saying I support the LGBTQ community, you're more than welcome to do that. If I get out of line, you can take this clip and say, hey, you said you support the LGBT and you coming out of nowhere with this wild shit. You know what? You're right. You caught me. You know what? I get it. You're absolutely right. And I'll back up on it. I allow you to take this clip and call me out on it. Because I just want to be transparent on this, but I feel as if in my years of being a content creator, I haven't been very vocal about it as well. So there's a situation going on. I'm just gonna cut right into the bone here. We have a situation going on here with Imane Khelif, who is a female boxer from Algeria. She's representing her country in the current Paris Olympics of 2024. She fought against another Olympic boxer by the name of Khelif-Carini, who represents Italy, and Carini kind of just forfeited 45 seconds into the match. After she forfeited, she said that Imane Khelif hit too hard. I think her chin strap kind of just dislocated or something from the punch that she got, and she said that she hit too hard. She forfeited. Imane Khelif was basically a winner by default. Carini didn't even bother to shake her hand after the fact. So you had a lot of spectators and people from the outside looking in, kind of adding some clues at surface level, at least seeing 2 + 2 = 4 or whatever. They see that Imane Khelif kind of has some masculine features or something like that, and she hits too hard, so they're adding these things up and they're saying, hey man, hear me out, she might be a dude. I don't think dudes should be participating in a women's sport like this. And to me, that has to be the dumbest thing ever, because she's a woman. This has nothing to do with the LGBTQ community whatsoever, because all there was just 2 women fighting. That's it. Imagine seeing 2 women fighting in the streets and then somehow throwing in the LGBTQ community into this, like as if they have anything to do with it. But anyways, let's get right into the whole situation before I get on a rant, because this situation is so dumb. I felt as if I have to comment on it because I just think this is so unnecessary. If we're going to talk about Khelif Imane, we first need to talk about where she came from, and we need to talk about her background. So first off, she was born in Algeria. And we know, for many of you that may not know, Algeria is very strict when it comes to, you know, gay rights and the LGBT. They don't fuck with that shit. But despite Khelif Imane and her physical appearance of some sort, she is a woman. Algeria sees her as a woman. Her passport states that she's a woman. So Algeria didn't really do anything about it, so they let her go. They were like, all right, you know, she wants to be a boxer. She can be a boxer. She can represent Algeria. I mean, she's the best. She's the best of the best. Bring it to the Paris Olympics. We don't see any issues here. Now, according to the article here, Khelif is an accomplished amateur who won a silver medal at an International Boxing Association World Championship in 2022. But in March of 2023, Khelif came under the spotlight for another reason. The IBA disqualified her from the gold medal match, saying that a test showed that she did not meet the required necessary eligibility criteria and was found to have a competitive advantages over other female competitors. The IBA, which was stripped of its recognition as an official boxing body for the games by the IOC, or the International Olympic Committee, for corruption and financial related issues, also disqualified featherweight Taiwanese boxer Lin Yuting boxer for the same reason. So for those that don't know, I think the IBA is Russian led. So I think you have a Russian official that runs the IBA. Basically, they did tests back in 2023 on Imane and a Taiwanese boxer, Lin. And what happened was they did these tests and they made this claim that, hey, these 2 women, you know, and I quote women because this is coming from the IBA, that their testosterone levels are too high. The thing is, and the reason why I say it's a claim is because they never published these results. They never specified what tests they did, how they came to that conclusion. So the IOC was saying, okay, well, where are the results? Where's the tests? What did you use? If you're not giving us these things, then we don't know. We can't even confirm this. So we can't, in good faith, have you judge who's qualified to be in, say, the Olympics or in the World Cup and who isn't. So, of course, the IOC is going to, brush IBA to the side because they're shady as fuck, and you already read here because of corruption and financial related issues. In the Paris Olympics, they have their own way. They probably rely on other third party organizations to judge who's the best of the best. There are tournaments in place to qualify for the Paris Olympics. I think there's like 3 or 2 tournaments that you have to compete in order to qualify for the Paris Olympics. But IBA is currently out of the question because, yeah, they were a little bit shady about this whole situation. The IBA did not say what test the pair has been subjected to. The athletes did not undergo a testosterone examination, but were subject to a separate and recognized test, whereby the specifics remain confidential, it says. The IOC spokesperson Adams dismissed the IBA's test, calling it arbitrary, and said the pair was disqualified by the IBA without any due process. And they're absolutely right. I don't understand why you would disqualify 2 athletes and say, oh yeah, we just saw some results and it just looked kind of fishy. If it were me, if you asked me, I think these 2 men are just trying to pass off as women and get some easy medals and some easy trophies. But they never really backed that claim up by publishing it for the IOC to look into. That's why there is this huge disconnect between the International Boxing Association and the IOC. Other than that, that is probably the only controversial thing that has happened that would relate to Imane Khelif. And then the Paris Olympics came about. She faced against Carini from Italy. She gave her one good punch right in the chin, dislocated her chin strap, and Carini kind of took the gloves off and said, you know what, I'm done. She hit too hard, yada, 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 I'm done. She even shake her hand as she walked off the ring. Now, again, as I mentioned earlier, a lot of people are looking at these things. They're looking at Imane Khelif and they're listening to Carini's comments on Imane and they're saying like, hey, she might possibly be transgender. This is why you don't have transgender folks play the sport. I'm not going to argue about whether trans women are allowed to be in women category, sports or something like that, because that's not what's going on right now. What's going on right now is 2 women are boxing. One woman hit a woman a little bit too hard. I mean, you're in the fucking Olympics, you're facing the best of the best, so of course you're gonna get your shit rocked. Like, I don't understand that. You get hit once, really hard, once, and suddenly you back out. Like the fuck is wrong with you? But Carini didn't even expect that Imane Khelif would be in the middle of a huge controversy revolving, her appearance, her gender identity, questioning her career and the credibility of her accomplishments. It became a huge shitstorm. And Carini, to the point, she wants to apologize. She wants to apologize for quitting the match. She wanted to apologize for not, shaking Imane's hand, because she didn't expect for Imane Khelif to get into this situation to begin with just because Carini quit. Khelif has been subject to a torrent of online abuse, with prominent anti-trans figures, right-wing commentators, and politicians incorrectly calling Khelif a man and using the controversy to fuel a wider culture war around gender identity. Former U.S. President Donald Trump, Elon Musk, J.K. Rowling, and social media influencer turned WWE wrestler Logan Paul have all weighed in. Watch this, then explain why you're okay with a man beating a woman in public for your entertainment, Rowling wrote on X, amplifying misinformation about Khelif's gender. I genuinely don't understand. Like, imagine having 2 women, again, fighting. It doesn't have to be a boxing match. It could be an MMA fight. It could be a fight in your block right now. And there's a woman who mollywops another woman, and then someone comes out of nowhere and be like, this is why trans women shouldn't be fighting women because it's just unfair. And what? dude, two women are fighting. Why do you feel the need to bring up the trans community into this? There's no trans women in sight right now, and you're just bringing it up just because? I don't understand. At the end of the day, there are two women that are fighting. That's it. The LGBTQ community has nothing to do with this. They just got dragged into this. And then people are now looking at this fight and just making a think piece out of it. It's just so fucking dumb. Now, let me step back for a moment. I will say I feel we have a long ways to go when it comes to being inclusive in sports. I really want the trans community to participate in sports, especially if they're good at it. I don't see any issues with them being in sports. But then at the same time, if I'm gonna be honest with you, let them play. Let them play. If I got a team, if I have a group of the trans community that are athletes, and they want to participate in sports and they want to bring home some gold medals or maybe even silver, bronze medals, so be it. Are we complaining that we're getting more gold medals because a transgender athlete wants to bring home a golden medal? Am I going to complain as an American? No. Bring home that gold, baby. I am here for it. Bring home that gold. I don't really care. You know, I'm not obsessing over somebody's gender identity or their sexuality or anything like that. It's so crazy that we're actually seeing all of this in black and white, and this is what Adams from the IOC committee even talks about. The article continues on with the IOC's Adams added, however, that he understood the concerns that has been raised around testing, fairness, and safety. Everyone wants a black and white explanation of how we can determine this. That explanation does not exist neither in the scientific community or anywhere else, he said. Adams is absolutely spot on with the whole everybody wants a black and white explanation when the situation is just a little bit more complicated than that, to the point that not even the scientific community or anybody else can even explain the complexity of things. You just can't look at gender or biology and say it's black and white. It's really not the case. You have to acknowledge that there are grays in life. To just see life in black and white is more harmful and detrimental to you than anything else, because it's just not that simple. I'm gonna give you a quick example and you let me know what you think. So ever since you got into elementary school, you learned that, say, 1 + 1 = 2. 2 + 2 = 4. Right? It's very easy to digest and understand. You hear it a lot in school. If you have one cookie and mommy gives you another cookie, how many cookies do you have? You have 2 cookies. Very easy to understand. You carry this through elementary, you carry this through middle school, and you carry this through high school even. Now, you get into college. College, you go into class, a professor tells you 2 + 2 = 5. You figure that out. Now, you're looking at that and you're saying, nah, that's bullshit. 2 + 2 = 5? No, that's bullshit. Because now the professor is telling you, oh no, yeah, 2 + 2 can = 4, but it can = 5 too. Now, in the past 20 years of your life, you've been told 2 + 2 = 4. Now someone is telling you 2 + 2 = 5. Figure it out. Now, you have 2 options. You can either leave the classroom and say, that's bullshit because there's no way 2 + 2 can = 5. I've been taught all my life that 2 + 2 = 4. When I put 2 + 2 = 5 on my homework or in my test back when I was in high school or middle school, I would be told that I am wrong. So why are you telling me that 2 + 2 can = 5? Or you can just sit down, say, hey, I don't understand this. Can you explain to me why 2 + 2 = 5 and approach this with an open mind? By the way, for those that don't know, 2 + 2 can = 5 if you round up the numbers. So 2.4 + 2.4 = 4.8. 4.8 is closest to 5. So by those numbers, 2 + 2 = 5. Physically speaking, 2 and 2 = 4. I have 2 fingers plus 2 that = 4. But at the end of the day, It's much more complicated than that. You're being taught now that 2 plus 2 can equal 5 because you are now at a point now where you can understand this. But you're not going to tell a little kid, yeah, 2 plus 2 is 4, but 2 plus 2 can equal 5 too. Like, I'm not going to expect a little kid to understand that. Now let's take that to the whole situation with Imane Khelif and the whole, the transgender community and everything. You grew up in life about the past 20 years when you were in elementary, when you were in middle school and high school, that, hey, listen, this is a man, this is a woman. Men have penises, women have vaginas. And that is something that you stuck with for the past 20 years the first 20 years of your life. But then you get into college and someone tells you, yeah, women can have, say, like vaginas, for instance. But what if I told you that gender and sex are not the same thing? What if they don't correlate? What if I told you that a woman can actually have higher levels of testosterone and she is still a woman? Now, you can really sit there and say, nah, I disagree with that. If a woman have a higher testosterone, she's a male. Or you could really sit there and say, that's actually very interesting, because you're literally acknowledging that gender doesn't always have to be 2 plus 2 equals 4. It can be 2 plus 2 equals 5. And in this case for Imane Khelif, it's just really sad that people think that she's a man because she hits hard and she probably has high levels of testosterone, which, by the way, is not even confirmed. And even so, who cares? Now, the sex testing in sports have come under scrutiny from groups like Human Rights Watch, who say that they violate fundamental rights to privacy and dignity. The tests that the IBA claimed disqualified Khelif and Lin from competing in the 2023 are confidential, so there's no way of knowing why exactly they were barred last year. Female athletes have differences of sexual development, known as DSD, are often subject to such tests. Khelif, however, has not said she has DSD. For those that don't know, DSD is a group of conditions involving genes, hormones, and reproductive organs, and can be associated with a condition where a female body naturally produces more testosterone than others. DSD traits only become apparent at puberty, when secondary sex characteristics such as facial hair, breast tissue, and distinct body shapes start to develop. It is difficult to estimate how many people have DSD traits. Many live their entire lives without ever knowing they have one. Scientists estimate as many as 1 out of every 50 people born with DSD traits. A person with DSD may have any gender identity. There are many times that people have DSD and they're somehow lumped in with the LGBTQ community. So in other words, you yourself can have DSD, you can be a man, but you have maybe more feminine physical like characteristics. You could be a woman and you can have more masculine features. But despite the fact that they may have DSD, or they may not know they may have it, sometimes they're often lumped with the LGBT community, and they're not even part of that community to begin with. They're just living their lives. They're straight. A man who appears a little bit feminine may still like women, and that doesn't make him any less of a man because he has more feminine traits, so to speak. And the vice versa can be said the same for a woman who has masculine traits, but she still loves men at the end of the day. Things like this is a little bit dangerous. So say if Imane Khelif, let's entertain the thought, let's say she does have DSD. It's just harmful to lump her with the LGBTQ community and equate her to the trans community because she's not trans. She was born in Algeria. She was seen as a woman. She was seen as a baby girl. She grew up as a woman. She has a passport that says she's a woman. She qualified in events and she was a woman in these events. And the only time she was barred from an event based on her gender identity was because of the IBA saying that, hey, listen, we did some tests and she got a little bit more testosterone than we often see in women, so we decided to cut her off at the golden match, which is absolutely crazy. The policing of women's bodies in sports is nothing new, with the practice of systemic medical examinations starting around the 1936 Berlin Olympics. At the 1966 European Athletics Championships in Budapest, women underwent a visual examination of the genitals and secondary sexual features carried out by a panel of 3 women doctors. The exams have been referred to as a nude parades. It was only in the 1990s when blanket sex tests were dropped by many major sports bodies, including the IOC in 1999, which now conducts medical evaluations on a case-by-case basis. Now, you basically have a lump sum of organizations that are saying like, hey, listen, we're not going to really do much sex tests anymore. We feel as if this is really invasive. It harms one's dignity. I have heard that there has been some form of abuses that have taken place from doing sex tests, but the whole situation is just so dumb. I'm really rooting for Imane Khelif after this whole thing. I just learned about her. Apparently, she got into boxing at around like 2016. I think she saw the Rio Olympics. Or the Rio Olympics. I'm sorry, I said Rio Olympics. And she loved the sport. So she would take a bus fare and from her village, and she would go to like a boxing gym, and she loved boxing ever since then. In order to afford a bus fare, she would have to collect scrap metal and, sell it for of course, for money. And then her mother would go about doing her own thing and doing her own hustle to ensure that Imane was able to have enough money to go to the gym and to train and to be the best that she could possibly be. So I'm really rooting for her. I mean, I'm all for it. She's now at the quarterfinals, or I think she's at the semifinals right now. So she's only 2 matches away. She could potentially bring home a medal. So I'm really rooting for her. But until then, y'all, that's really all I have. I'm done with this whole controversy. That's about it. Peace.